Sorry, Kiwi fags. Life doesn't work out the way you pretend it does.
All right, so you sent this in, right? This court transcript from Nick Rekieta's plea deal hearing. It's thanks to the fine folks at Kiwi Farms for actually getting this thing.
Mhm.
You know, they crowdfunded the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's been making the rounds online, especially on KF,
Mm-hmm.
and people are really buzzing about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a big development in this case. And for those who maybe haven't been following every detail, you're right, Kiwi Farms has been all over this.
Yeah.
They even managed to get their hands on a copy of Rekieta's prior chemical use assessment, which the judge mentioned.
Oh, yeah, I saw that on the farms. They're like digital detectives over there. But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's back up and remind everyone what Rekieta was originally facing.
Right, so initially, he was looking at a whole slew of charges, drug possession being the big one. And they never really specified what the other charges were, kind of kept that under wraps.
Right.
But what made this whole thing even more complicated was that his wife, Kayla, and another woman named April Impolte were also facing charges connected to the case.
Yeah, a whole messy situation. So this plea deal wasn't just about Nick. It had implications for them, too. But let's cut to the chase. What exactly did he plead guilty to?
He ended up pleading guilty to a single charge, third-degree drug possession of cocaine. Now, that third-degree part might sound minor, but we're talking about more than 10 grams of cocaine here.
Oh, wow.
That bumps it up to a felony charge. The interesting thing is, by pleading guilty to this one charge, he got all the other charges against him dropped. And get this, the charges against Kayla and April vanished too.
Yeah.
All part of the deal.
Wow, talk about legal maneuvering. So he basically took the fall to protect the others. That's what it seems like from the transcript anyway. But it wasn't a simple open and shut case of, yes, Your Honor, I'm guilty, was it?
Not at all. The transcript shows Rekieta initially claimed he was innocent. The judge basically had to spell it out for him. No admission of guilt, no plea deal. It was only then that Rekieta changed his tune.
That's a pretty key detail, right? Makes
Yeah.
you wonder what was going on behind the scenes. What kind of legal strategy was at play here? But speaking of details, the transcript also sheds light on how the whole drug possession thing went down.
It does. According to the transcript, the cocaine was found in a locked safe. And that safe was inside a locked room at Rekieta's house. Now, other people might have had access to the room, but Rekieta made it very clear. Only he had the key to that safe and knew what was inside.
So he was taking full responsibility, saying this is mine and mine alone. But let's be real. The real juicy stuff is in the Kiwi Farms threads, right? Those guys are dissecting every comma in that transcript.
Yeah.
What are some of the key reactions you've seen?
Well, first off, there's a lot of told yes so going around. Remember, KF was on this case from the beginning, speculating, digging up info. Now that Rekieta is admitting guilt, they're feeling pretty vindicated. And of course, they're diving deep into what this means for Kayla. There's a whole debate raging about whether she could have been charged if Nick hadn't taken the plea deal.
Yeah, I saw those threads. They're basically playing armchair lawyer, trying to figure out if she was in the clear, or if Nick just shielded her from potential legal trouble. And what about the whole safe situation? Any theories floating around KF about that?
Oh, tons. Some are convinced he must have cooperated with the police to open that safe. Maybe even gave them the key. Others are saying, nah, the cops probably just got a warrant and busted it open themselves. It's all speculation, but it's fun to see them trying to piece it all together.
It's like a real-life episode of Law & Order, except with more internet drama. And speaking of drama, let's not forget about Rekieta's lawyer, who apparently tried to pull a fast one on the judge and got shut down hard. That's been a source of much amusement on KF.
Oh yeah, that whole scene where the lawyer tried to approach the judge without permission, that's pure gold. KF's having a field day with that. Making memes, cracking jokes. It's a bit of comic relief in what's otherwise a pretty serious situation.
Well, it wouldn't be Kiwi Farms without a little dark humor mixed in.
Yeah.
But beyond the laughs, this plea deal has some pretty major real-world consequences, especially for Rekieta's career. He is a lawyer, after all.
Right, and that's where things get interesting. The transcript states the judge ordered a pre-sentencing investigation, basically a deep dive into Rekieta's background. They're also doing a comprehensive assessment, and the judge even mentioned using that old chemical use assessment to avoid repeating work.
Oh, right.
It's clear they're taking this seriously.
So this isn't just a slap on the wrist. They're really looking into his history, his potential issues. And let's be blunt, a felony conviction doesn't exactly look good for a lawyer. Could this affect his ability to practice law?
Absolutely. A felony conviction can have serious ramifications for his law license. We're talking potential disbarment, suspension, all sorts of disciplinary actions. His career is hanging in the balance right now.
That's a huge question mark hanging over his future. And speaking of the future, the sentencing is set for April 18th, which is actually earlier than they initially planned. The transcript mentions he had a prior commitment in early May, so they moved it up.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to get this whole thing wrapped up quickly. Maybe due to all the attention it's been getting, we'll have to wait and see what the judge decides. But it's safe to say this plea deal is just the beginning of a whole new chapter in the Rekieta saga.
All right, so we've laid out the basics, the charges, the Kiwi Farms reactions. But let's step back for a moment and try to understand the bigger picture here. Why this plea deal? What were the motivations behind it?
That's the million-dollar question. And to answer it, we need to put ourselves in the shoes of both sides. The defense and the prosecution for Rekieta's defense team. This plea deal could have been a way to minimize the potential damage. Think about it. By pleading guilty to this one drug charge, they got all those other charges dropped. The ones they were keeping hush-hush. It's like they traded one known problem for a bunch of unknowns. It's a classic legal strategy, damage control. They might have figured, let's take the hit on this drug charge, get the rest off the table, and try to control the narrative. Going to trial is always a gamble. You never know what a jury will decide.
Right. The trial's a crapshoot. And when you've got multiple charges, multiple people involved, the risk just multiplies. So, from the defense's perspective, this plea deal might have seemed like the safest bet. But what about the prosecution? What's in it for them?
Well, the prosecution has to weigh their options, too. They have to look at the evidence they've got, how strong their case is. They also have to think about the resources it takes to go to trial. Trials are time-consuming, expensive. There's always the chance of an appeal.
Right.
So for the prosecution, this plea deal might have seemed like a surefire way to get a conviction without all the hassle.
So it's a balancing act. Both sides trying to figure out the best move. And in this case, they landed on a compromise. But let's be honest. We're only seeing the legal side of things. There's a whole human element to this, right? Real people, real lives impacted by this plea deal.
Exactly. We can talk about legal strategies and court proceedings all day long, but at the end of the day, this is about Nick Rekieta, Kayla April, and everyone connected to them. Their lives are being turned upside down. It's a reminder that the legal system, for all its rules and procedures, deals with real human consequences.
And speaking of human consequences, let's get back to those Kiwi Farms reactions. They're not just analyzing the legal stuff, they're digging into the personal aspects too. What are they saying about how this plea deal might affect Rekieta's life outside the courtroom?
Oh, they're going full-on gossip mode. There are threads speculating about his marriage, his friendships, his mental health. They're pulling up old clips, old forum posts, anything that might shed light on who Rekieta is and how he's handling this whole ordeal.
I mean, you got to give them credit. They're thorough. They're like internet sleuths, leaving no stone unturned. But it's also kind of creepy, right? This is someone's life we're talking about.
It's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you have this community that's incredibly dedicated to uncovering information, holding people accountable. On the other hand, their methods can be intrusive, even borderline obsessive. It's a fine line between seeking truth and engaging in voyeurism.
Yeah, that's the thing with Kiwi Farms. They can be incredibly insightful, but they can also go too far. It's like they're fascinated by the drama, the downfall. But beyond the personal stuff, they're also looking at the professional fallout, right? Specifically, what this plea deal means for Rekieta's law license.
Absolutely. They're all over that. They're debating the likelihood of him being disbarred, the potential disciplinary actions he might face. Some are even digging into the Bar Association rules, trying to figure out exactly what kind of trouble he's in.
It's like they've turned into amateur legal experts. And, you know, it's not just idle speculation. This plea deal could have serious implications for his livelihood. A felony conviction is a big deal, especially for someone in a profession that relies on trust and credibility.
Right. Being a lawyer isn't just about knowing the law. It's about upholding ethical standards. A felony conviction raises questions about his judgment, his character. It's not a good look.
And it's not just the Bar Association he has to worry about. Clients might be hesitant to hire a lawyer with a felony on his record. His reputation has taken a hit, and it's unclear if he can recover from that.
It's a tough road ahead for him, no doubt about it. He's facing legal challenges, professional consequences, and the court of public opinion. And let's not forget the personal toll this is taking on him and those close to him.
It's a reminder that actions have consequences, and in this case, the consequences are far-reaching and potentially devastating. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the timing of all this. The sentencing is set for April 18th, right? That seems pretty quick.
Yeah, they're definitely moving things along. Remember, the transcript mentions Rekieta had a prior commitment in early May, so they moved the sentencing up to accommodate that. It's interesting, though, right? Why the rush?
Could it be because of all the attention this case has been getting? With Kiwi Farms constantly posting updates, keeping it in the public eye. Maybe the court wants to get this whole thing resolved as quickly as possible.
That's definitely a possibility. High-profile cases tend to attract a lot of scrutiny, and the court might be feeling the pressure to move things along. But there could be other reasons, too. Maybe they're trying to be considerate of Rekieta's schedule. Maybe there's a backlog of cases they need to get through. It's hard to say for sure.
Whatever the reason, it seems like we're headed for a resolution soon. But even after the sentencing, this story isn't over. The fallout from this plea deal will continue to unfold, both for Rekieta and for those around him.
Exactly. This is just one chapter in a much larger story. And as we've seen, it's a story with twists and turns, unexpected developments, and no shortage of drama. It's a story that's captivated the online world, and one that's sure to continue generating discussion and debate for a long time to come.
And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating, right? It's a real-life legal drama unfolding in the digital age. And thanks to platforms like Kiwi Farms, we have a front-row seat to all the action.
It's a reminder that the internet has changed the game. Information spreads faster than ever before, communities form around shared interests, and online platforms can have a real impact on real-world events.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Rekieta plea deal, I think it's worth asking, what does this all mean? What are the takeaways? What can we learn from this case?
Well, for starters, it's a stark reminder that actions have consequences. We see that playing out in Rekieta's life, both personally and professionally. It's also a reminder of the power of the internet, how online communities can mobilize, gather information, and influence the narrative.
It's a fascinating case study in the intersection of law technology and online culture. And it raises a lot of thought-provoking questions about accountability, transparency, and the role of online platforms in shaping public opinion.
It's a story that's still unfolding, and one that I think we'll be talking about for a long time to come. It's a reminder that we live in a complex and constantly evolving world, and that even in the digital age, real-world consequences matter.
Well said. And to everyone listening, this is just our take on the Rekieta plea deal. There's a lot more to uncover, a lot more to discuss. Check out the full transcript on Kiwi Farms, see what you make of it, form your own opinions, don't just take our word for it.
That's what this deep dive is all about. Giving you the info, the different perspectives, and letting you draw your own conclusions. Keep digging, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.